And this way now, we can access this guy. Now we can turn the power on. There we go. We have enough power sources. And lights. Look at this. Lights work underwater. How awesome is that? Let's put the helmet on so we don't drown. And look at that. This is what I find so awesome. Okay? I mean, light underwater. Oh man, this is just so beautiful. This game is so awesome. Greetings guys and gals and fellow gamers, my name is Games for Kicks and welcome to Empyrion. In the last episode we kind of got settled. I have a bit of a smallish enough treat for you. I was playing around with some things and I also noted what I need. Now anybody who starts a new base, the first thing I'm trying to do every time now is I try to repair this guy here. Because without this guy, it's gonna be very hard to come around. Like, you could build a hovercraft, but that requires more materials. What this guy really only needs is, I mean, look at him. He has actually only a landing gear missing, which we're not really too fussed about. That's just aesthetics, really, to be honest. All this guy really needs is the ability to fly. He already has a backward thruster, so all he needs is a thruster going to point up and a thruster to point down and to the sides. So we can actually put all these 4 thrusters in the front or the back. We probably will put them on the back, like one down, one up, and one left, one right, and then one down here. And then we can put one up on top here or something, or put the one up and down here, and then later on we're gonna put more on either side for aesthetics. But in the moment we don't give a shit how it looks. We really don't want to care how good it looks, so we can put actually a thruster here going up and a thruster here going down, and then put one here going left, one here going right. We don't really care, because it's all about functionality in the beginning. You need to survive. You don't care how pretty it looks. Now the other thing I started to do, I started thinking about what do I need, okay? So the first thing you obviously need is a small fuel tank, as you can see down there in my base, and what is it called again? Generator. That's what it's called. And a small generator. That's what you need for your base. Now the next thing you kind of need to think about is like food. We're okay. We still have a couple of rations, so we're not really too bothered about food. Actually, let me take my helmet off. Every time I start a game, it puts my helmet back on, and that uses my reserve oxygen, which I don't want to use. So always make sure you're going to press V, go into your outside view, make sure you have your helmet off, and always when that response, pick that up, and that way you don't use your reserve oxygen, which is great. Now, I made a couple of power packs in the last episode, which I keep dumping in there. Now, what I noted down is I need a large constructor, because the small constructor is not able to do thrusters, okay? So you can make an RCS unit, but only for a hovercraft. This basically allows you to build a hovercraft. I don't want to build a hovercraft. That's too many resources. I don't like that. And right now, the only resource I have beside me is iron, and I'm not gonna go on a 15-day hike across the island trying to find walking distance resources. I also made myself a gun, which is actually very easy to make. You just need to, your starting resources will cover that. You just make 5 components, 1 electronics, and then with the metal pieces, magnesium, you make some metal pieces. I had 100 made up front, and some magnesium powder, which you already have, and you make I made 10 bullets. Okay, so each bullet gives you 25 rounds. So there you go. Now we have a nice weapon. We can look through and scope the island out. Okay, we don't need to kill anything yet. We really want to avoid killing things. The next thing we want to focus on is, like, we need to build a large constructor. And the large constructor is, I wrote down all the components now. And this is how it's gonna work. So we already have the pipes for it, which is great, so we don't have to worry about them. Let me just resort some of my things. We don't need that. We need control devices. Okay, what you need for a large constructor is made out of components which require purely only ingots as resources, such as cables, which only need copper, metal components, which need iron and cobalt. Anyway, the only resource base resource that doesn't use raw materials, let's call them raw materials, yeah, is pipes, because they need metal plates. So, and the whole large constructor needs 4 metal pipes, so all you need to do is make sure you have 8 metal plates. I already have them, so I'm not gonna queue them up, okay? So, what you want to do is, you want to queue up. Okay, for the sake of doing it, okay? If you want to do it, you need 8 metal plates, yeah, which it's only once because you can see the output count is 10, yeah? And in this order, I'm gonna queue them up because the pipes need the metal plates. So I say 10 metal plates. I will say then, oh, we need 4 pipes, so 1, 2, 3, 4, because you get only 1 per craft, okay? We're gonna do that. Then we're gonna say we need 11 electronics because you need some electronics for the large constructor itself, some for the 2 motors that you need for it, and some for the 2 computers. So we need 11 electronics in total. So shift click is 10 and then 1. You need 18 metal components, yeah? You need 10 metal components for the large constructor itself, directly. And then the large constructor needs 2 motors and 2 computers. The computers and the motors themselves, as you can see here, need metal components, okay? So the computers and the motors need metal components. So what you do is you queue up 18 metal components. You already have 1. So let's try to use a little bit of what we have here. So we already have 1. So we need to make... okay, they make them in 2, so we just queue up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, whoops. Okay, so we have 9 metal components, we will make 18 metal components. Then we need 14 cables. Because again, some are used by the large constructor directly, some by the computer, some by the motors, and so we need 14. So let's make 10. Oh, they actually do an output count of 2, so we only need 7. If you pause this to remove things, you have to pause the constructor, then you click with your left mouse once. Anybody who already seen my previous Let's Play series and you're totally into the game, I apologize for going through this in detail. It's just a lot of people only started playing the game in Alpha 3, and I just want to make sure they're covered. So you need 14 cables, then you need 4 control devices, which is these little guys. We already have 6 and they're expensive to make because they use silicon, and silicon is something we don't have a lot of. And electronic devices use silicon, and you need a lot of electronic devices for a lot of things. So let's not waste it. In this case, I'm not queuing them up because they're too expensive to waste. So we have 2 computers that we need to queue up. You can't craft them yet because you don't have the materials yet, but you can queue them up, which is great because you're crafting all the components it needs here. So you can then say, hey, when this is done, I want to build 2 computers. Then you can build your 2 motors. You can do the motors first in front of the computers. That's not the point. The point is that you have, that you craft all the components that are crafted from raw materials first, and then you craft the components which are also using the other components, including the other raw materials. So that's what you queue up. And then all this is done, you queue up the large constructor. Now this can run away while this is building. You can let that run. Don't worry about it. Just make sure you have enough fuel packs. In the beginning when you make fuel packs, the fuel packs are made from... I already wasted all the raw materials. The fuel packs are made from... Promethium pellets, and we are running out of Promethium, so we have no Promethium left, and we have only 25 fuel packs left, so we are slowly getting to a situation where we're gonna have to find some Promethium. So the first thing I would do, especially with random gen, is get your SV, your pod fixed. I mean, look at the hilly area. A hovercraft is completely pointless here because it is an absolute awful thing to drive. Now let me show you what I was working on in the meantime. You're gonna love this. I hope you're gonna love this, yeah? Look at this. Oh yeah. We're gonna build a proper base here. This is gonna be my landing pad. I'm gonna move all this shit in. And what I'm gonna try actually is I'm gonna try to make another core here and put the core here. And that way I can remove this core. Because I don't want my core here on the outside. I could leave it there, but I don't want to. So what I'm working on in the moment is... this is a very delicate operation, so what you want to do is you want to have your drill. So you can see I made loads of drill ammunition, and I made some flattening ammunition for the reason with the flattening tool, which you get to start with as well. And there's a reason for this. You see, the flattening tool is great to even out the corners. So you just right click, and what it actually does, it takes whatever you're standing on, I think, or whatever is closest around you as the base level, and flattens everything into that level. Okay? So it is very, very good to get the edges of something like that sorted out. Very, very nice. Very, very good, okay? So you can see it sorting out the edges here really nicely, yeah? So that is for the finer detail. It also, when you're underground, raises the roof or the ceiling because it uses the ground above as the base level. So it actually tries to push everything up to that, which is really handy. So look at this. It just pushes it out, which gives you a really nice way of forming or shaping the inside of your tunnels, which is really nice. Now in the beginning this all will fall apart a little bit because the opening is very close to like the mountain goes only up here, so eventually you're gonna be inside the mountain, you know, and we close all this off. So what the idea is to build up some poles here, make this approximately, I would say, up here. You can see my crosshair where it's pointing at. So do I have actually any blocks left so you can, yeah, just put them in so you can see what I'm talking about. So we want to build them to about this high, I would say, or maybe this high, but yeah, maybe. Yeah, let's make them this high, yeah? And then you're gonna go across and you basically make that your roof. And you only make the roof going inside up to the point where you're not close to the surface anymore. Because don't forget, something could be drilling down from the top or shooting, and if you're very close to the top, you start having a hole in your ceiling. So you want to cover it up to approximately here, maybe, where the mountain gets actually much, much higher. So what we're gonna do while all this other stuff is crafting, we're gonna continue digging our hole here. So the way I do it is I'm gonna go very, very roughly first with both mouse buttons into the wall. Oh yeah, I won't be talking much during the drilling because it is just too loud, okay? So you want to always go by a baseline. This, I want to cover this up in the end, okay? So what I'm gonna do is the flattening and raising tool, I'm gonna go actually in here and use the left mouse to pull the wall towards me, okay? This will pull wall towards me, as you can see here, okay? And that will then cover up any recess you have. And then all you really... Oh, whoops. All you really do in the end then is, again, with the drill, the weak part of the drill is the left mouse button. Oh, no, that's strong. The right mouse button. So all you really do is, with the right mouse button, go along your edges then and clean it up if that bothers you that much, yeah? But I will be building walls anyway up to a certain point, and then when I have all the resources I will build actually interior walls as well, so it won't be that bad. So anyway, that's just to give you the ins and outs of how I operate. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow this line as much as I can down here, and also put a light on the ground. These lights are awesome, okay? They can't be placed on base blocks, but they can be placed on rock. So you see I picked that up, and you can see now it has in its description placeable T, and what T means is terrain, I think. It's the only thing that makes sense, because you can't build it on anything else. So just place it down here and boom, it doesn't need electricity. There you go. Awesome. So I only built like this area down here so I have a fair idea how flat I have to make this. So I built one line in, and let's continue. So I won't be talking during the drilling, but hopefully... I want to make sure to point it a little bit up, because yeah, this one here, you want in the end, and pick up all the rocks, you want to raise the ground again, like that's no big deal. Now you need to be careful with the flattening tool. The flattening tool with the right mouse will even everything out, but it won't raise flatter terrain on the other side necessarily. So you always want to use that after you drilled a bit. Now I'm using it a bit prematurely, just to make sure you have a nice steady area, okay? So let's continue. Okay, that went a bit low, but that's okay. What I usually try to do is point a little bit up and leave it in that angle approximately. So like say a 20% angle, is that about right? 20 to 30% angle. And the reason I do this is because the flattening tool will make sure that all this is raised. Now the ground you don't have to worry too much, because even if you have a hole and you say bring your floor over and there's a hole under the floor, it doesn't matter. There's no structural integrity in this game yet, so we couldn't really care less about that. You just want to make sure that above it looks alright. So what you do is that 20% angle, approximately 20-30% angle up. And what is that? Why is that a different color? I don't know. Okay, so we're out of drill pads. That's okay. Let's pick up these rocks. And again, you can use the flattening tool or the drill to do the roof. The flattening tool will just do it more evenly. And we don't want to go too high either, like, you know, because, well, we don't want the pod to come crashing down on us. So now we use the flattening tool again. Lovely, lovely jubbly. Go along the edges here again. See that? And the good thing about a flattening tool is it also gives you the stone ore that comes off. So you don't have to drill all the time for the stone. It's actually really, really cool. So let's lower this here a little bit more. Awesome. Look at that. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And then let's see what we do with the ceiling. I think the ceiling is okay here. Let's just do a little tappa. Tap, tap, tap. Yeah, when you tap, every time you tap, click, it wastes an ammo. So sometimes it's more efficient to leave it run because it doesn't waste ammo as fast, but I like to be a bit more precise and I rather waste the ammunition. That's what I made loads of ammo for. There you go. Now it's a long process, and it is. I mean, absolutely. But it's fun. So again, you can use the flattening tool or the drill. It depends what you feel more comfortable with. If you feel you're very heavy-handed with the drill, okay, that you're a person... Oh, we don't want to destroy the light. So what I'm going to do is I move the light over here. Oh, whoops, sorry. Sorry about the darkness. So we'll move the light over here because I don't want... the light will get destroyed if you flatten terrain around it. Now this is why I love this game. I mean, this is awesome, okay? Again, I don't want to draw comparison to other games, but I think that was possible in the other game that everybody's comparing it to, even though it's not really exactly the same in a lot of aspects. But you know the one I'm talking about, most likely. I just don't want to get into that conversation. So I don't know. I never played the other game, really. So I don't know if that was possible, but I find this a really awesome feature. So now here we have a real nice cave. So once we have the materials, let's get the Constructor action. Let's see how our Constructor is doing. And once we have all the materials for this, this is going to look awesome. Okay, this is going to be absolutely awesome. Every time this guy respawns, pick him up, because these guys here, alien plasma, once you have the food processor, it's gonna make you medicine, so it's gonna heal you. And the food processor is the next thing we want to build, because once we know how to fly this thing, we want to get a food processor going so we can actually and put a small fridge on this bad guy as well, so we can make food. So we built then 2 fridges, a food processor, 1 fridge for the base, 1 fridge for the SV, but this is not gonna be in this episode most likely. So now look at this. This is what happens. You can queue all this and just come back and say, hey, it's done. Now the problem is if you miscalculate this shit and one of them items is not crafted enough, it just stops the whole queue. Everything gets deleted. And I think that is what they have to start working on as well. They have to start looking into that. So I don't know how they're gonna do that. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not saying do it like Factorio, for example, where you can just click on the Constructor and it queues everything else up. But I would like to see some process where it says, oh yeah, like say for example I don't have motors and I don't have computers or control devices, yeah, or electronics or metal components or cables or pipes. I still would like this to be able to calculate, oh, you actually have all the raw materials to do that. So say for example I only have 1 silicon here it shouldn't light up because it says, hey dude, you don't have enough silicon to make all the electronics, you know, I mean, something like that. I'm not saying to do it exactly like that. I'm just trying to throw out some brainstorming ideas here to saying, like, you know, they have to work on something that makes it a bit clearer, because I think in the moment, I personally don't mind this, okay? I don't mind sitting down for 15 minutes and calculating what I need, and eventually it gets into your head and you remember it, but I can see how it can be very off-putting to very new players, because they kind of look at this and they get overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed when this game, I got access to this game before it was on Steam, and the very first time I played it, when they had the closed alpha, when you weren't allowed to make videos of it at the time, when you had an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, I played it for about 50 minutes and I gave up first. I was like, okay, that's it. I can't make heads or tails of this. This is very confusing to me. But then, of course, I persevered and said, you know what? Let's just sit down and let's just go through it, make notes. But it was very difficult to sit down and write everything down. And I can see a lot of people who just like playing games for fun might get put off by that. But again, this is, you know, this is not a con or a pro or me moaning about it. This is just literally me having some input and talking about it, that's all. So by all means, this game is absolutely awesome. I have nothing to complain about. Now this constructor is gonna go here. Can we turn it somehow? Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. How do we... I forgot. I don't want to place it like that. Crap. Which one is place and which one is turn? Oh, you Dumbo. Okay, I have to test that with this guy here. What was left and mouse right? I forgot. I keep mixing up left and right mouse. So left places it. Okay. So... Oh, it doesn't turn it right. Okay, fair enough. That's awful. But I want to turn it. There's a rotate. Ah, there we are. Yeah, I completely forgot. Sorry, I'm playing so many different games lately. Yeah, it's your page down and page up keys actually turn everything. And your end and home keys turn it like this way, and your delete and insert key turns it completely different again. So everything will be out here for the moment. Okay, sorry about that brain fart. I don't know how that happened. And this way now, we can access this guy. Now we can turn the power on. There we go. We have enough power sources and lights. Look at this, lights work underwater. How awesome is that? Let's put the helmet on so we don't drown. And look at that. This is what I find so awesome, okay? I mean, light underwater, oh man, this is just so beautiful. This game is so awesome. It's so aesthetically pleasing. Okay, let's take the helmet off again so we don't waste our energy. So here we are now. We can craft things now, and what we can craft and what is of interest to us is thrusters. So what we're gonna do for now is we're gonna move all the raw materials from this constructor over to this constructor. So let's turn the lights on that you guys can see. See, I already put loads of lights here, so, you know, it's easier to see. And I'm gonna put some lights on the base, actually, as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clear this out, this guy. Okay? And we're gonna use this guy only purely for raw material processing. So like this will make stone while we're gone. This is iron ore. This is what I start using it for. I'm not gonna use it to make components. I use it only literally to create ingots, to turn raw material into ingots. Yeah, why do you say raw genie mac, raw materials into ingots? So in this case we have crushed stone. So let's fire off the rock dust, which uses 5 per craft, which means we have 10 and another 2 and 3. There you go. So this is doing this thing. We're gonna go down here and put all the ingots and components. Now you want to build a couple of large constructors down the road, because you want one large constructor literally only be responsible for queuing up certain things. Like say, for example, metal plates you will always need to craft at some stage for other things. So you want one constructor, you kind of say, hey, I make metal plates and blocks with it. And another maybe you say, oh, I make ammunition only with that. It depends, because the funny thing is you can queue up one of those things to make, like, say, a cargo box, or to make like a small constructor, and you have all this shit queued up, and then you go, oh, I'm out of bullets, I need to make bullets, and you go, oh, bollocks, because then you can't shift, you can't do this. So let me show you this. Okay, I can't place it there for the moment. Let me see. So I can't, no, let's turn it off. I can't do this and then move things into slots. It won't let you do that, and that is such a big pain in the ass, yeah, that you basically have to queue up all these things and then go, bollocks, I want to make some weapons, and you can't say just make 10 bullets first. that's again, that's part of the things that I'm sure over time they will, you know, deal with that. I mean, I build multiple constructors in the end, so I can actually, when I have that oh bollocks moment, I go like, ah, yeah, okay, fine. I just take some resources out and put them in the other constructor, and that's it. So let's focus here. What are we gonna craft? Now, in the next episode, we're gonna have our SV unit fixed up. I'm gonna write down all the materials we need, and we're gonna queue them all up, and in the meantime, we're gonna continuously work on our base until then, and we're gonna probably want to fix. I'm kind of torn between, I have still 3 emergency rations, so I think I don't need food just yet, and I don't want to build my farm yet. I don't want to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at what we need on the RCS unit first, because we need to build the RCS unit for the SV unit. Make sure in the right hand side, I'm pointing with my finger at my monitor, yeah, duh, kicks, use your brain, they can't see your finger. So on the right hand side, beside here, you see the RCS unit tooltip, and it says on the bottom, the second last, it says placeable SV, and that's what you want. The torque is something we might have to pay attention to as well, because I'm not a scientist, I'm not a physicist, but I believe that torque has a maximum limit, so that basically if you only have 1 RCS unit on your ship, you can only turn it and spin it so fast, but if you have 2 or 3 or 4, they might add up. I don't know how torque works. Like I said, I'm not a smart person when it comes to these things. I'm more simplified when it comes to these things. Yes, I know RCS stands for Reaction Control System because I just read that. So we want to build one of those guys, and it's actually quite simple. You can see 2 electronics, 5 components, 2 cables, 8 metal plates. Very easy. We already have some of those components here. So I'm gonna get that all sorted out for the next episode and write all this shit down, and then we're gonna build an RCS unit, and we're only gonna build the very simple directional thrusters to start with, because we only want to be able to get up or down. I think you need actually 2 downward thrusters in the beginning, 2 directional ones. I don't think, and 2 upwards ones, otherwise it's very hard to move, because I think it weighs quite a lot. Now people were saying, oh, you can use just a thruster. Like not a directional thruster but a normal thruster, because they're much more powerful, and they might be right. I'm not sure how I think a thruster is always on, and there's always some base force that goes into it being on. Meanwhile, a directional thruster doesn't come on at all unless you push into that direction. I think that is the difference. So which could mean when you have a directional thruster going forward, going sideways compared to normal thruster, your ship might be starting to move sideways by itself. I have no idea. I haven't really tested around too much with that. So I rely on you guys in the comments, you know, to go like, well, I have been spending 200 hours on this, and I can tell you exactly this is what you need to do. Anyway, I'm using the directional thrust. I have a force of 7 kN, which is what, kilonewton or something, and these are 15. So actually, you know what, guys? Oh. The directional thruster for an SV has 40, and a thruster for an SV has 85. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with thrusters actually, guys. Yeah. It's gonna have to be the SV thruster, which is this guy here. So, because they don't use much more materials, they use 2 motors, and these ones use 1 motor, so it's not the end of the world. Motors only need 2 metal components, 3 cables, and 1 electronic to make, so yeah, I think we're gonna do that. So we're gonna do 1 up, 1 down, 1 left, 1 right, and that's it. And 1 backwards. So if we can make 5, we're gonna do that. So this is for the next episode, so so I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you like where we're going with this cave. This is gonna be awesome. We're gonna have this all hidden away, and we're gonna have like a glass panel front door. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, remember to kick the like button in the arse like the gaming ninjas you are. And I hope I see you guys in the next episode. Until then, viel Spaß and happy gaming.